Hi, hey, and all those other greetings, Spade Adventurers. I am a Jake Spins. Welcoming you guys back to... Well, I was gonna introduce you guys to the new Jakks Pacific wave, but I guess it did it for me. You know, I really should have thought out of all the different weird experiments we've done with super transformations on this channel that touching a hedgehog to a star would end up doing this, but for some reason I didn't think of that. But now that you guys know this is here, let's keep it for suspense. Just so you guys have a little bit of something to wait for. But that's right. Jakks Pacific has a brand new wave that I bought, and it actually came in like 2 days because it's been so long. Now, there's a few caveats for this set. First off, we do have some retreads, such as Tails, along with Knuckles. These guys I probably won't be going into a lot of detail with because, I mean, it's pretty much just Tails and Knuckles. Not only that, but we did go through the minifigure of Tails with his tail spinning, and to be honest, I actually kind of like the look of this, where he's just awkwardly dancing as his tails are spinning. It's like they took a freeze ray to Tails as he was mid-cringe dancing, and now he's just perpetually like, for the rest of time. So that being said, because we have this, and we have the pose, and yes, it is an unboxing, I am going to actually be leaving Tails alone. However, as much as I would like to do that with Knuckles, there's one reason, and one reason only, why I wanted Knuckles specifically. Because of the Chaos Emerald. This was actually a line that I was not originally going to get all of them, but I actually decided to get them because for each one, except for Tails, I had a reason to want it. And to be honest, this might be a little silly considering that this is literally the biggest reskin, reuse type thing ever. And honestly, I should have probably checked to make sure that they didn't already have the blue Chaos Emerald before opening this, but I didn't actually think of that until I pulled this out. But I do have the Chaos Emeralds from Toy Island along with the Jazzwares Chaos Emeralds, so I figured, why not get a complete set of these Chaos Emeralds, because they might end up making Super Silver, like they did with Jazzwares, and then I can put them all together. Or they're going to make a fool out of me and do a whole Chaos Emerald set with all the supers. Then I'm going to look like a dork. Probably buy it anyway. But here you guys go. Here's a quick look at the blue Chaos Emerald. Again, we have shown this off, but it does look super nice, super detailed. It's a really nice size. Especially if you have the Jazzwares Emeralds, you could essentially make a Chaos Emerald Super Emerald. Not sure why I did that in quotes. But you could do like an altar. And I mean, you do have Knuckles, so you could have Knuckles literally walking into the Super Emerald altar. And if they do make that Mecha Sonic figure, you can make it very accurate to the end when they actually do go into that altar. And I mean, if you hit them with a hammer, accurate to Sonic Mania. But either way though, that's the Chaos Emerald. But of course, we do also have good old Knuckles. So the one thing about these guys that I wanted to go over with is that these guys, yeah, they are re-releases. However, they do also get different expressions and emotions. So maybe you missed out on the first wave and you got this guy, and then maybe you're like, but I kind of want to go back and get that other wave Knuckles just because I want him, and right now it's at a good price. You can at least justify it a little bit. Now, that being said, I don't know what is going on with him. It looks like he went into Goat Simulator and immediately ragdolled, and that's where they went with it. Because if you look at this arm, this isn't natural. This is literally the pose that they have it in. Okay, looking like this, yeah, this looks cool. You look at it like this, and it's like, what did they do to your arm? They just like bent it back enough to break it. And if you look all the way in the back, it just looks so weird. It's just, like his upper arm is going like, it's curving, which is something you physically can't do with your body. And then his lower arm is going down a little bit. It's weird. It's hard to explain. But up front, it just looks weird. It looks so weird, and I don't know how to explain it. But there we go. We can make him twin with Tails. And his legs came like this, too. Not only that, but for some reason, his tail is in a wind pose. Either this was a really bad malfunction that they just said, you know what, let's keep it, because people will be like, oh, this is for the variant, right? And they just went with it. I honestly have no idea. I'm so stumped looking at this thing that I'm confused and I'm speechless. But yeah, to make this quicker, we're also going to bypass good old Knuckles. Now, you might be saying, okay, Spins, at this point, why not just open Super Shadow and just make that the entire video? Just leave the other guys boxed or whatever. Well, there is one more guy in this set, being Classic Sonic. Yep, I'm actually not sure if I've uploaded the 2.5-inch Classic Sonic, but that one came first, and then they made this one. This guy also seems to be an articulate figure. And there is a video on some articulate figures that I do have to do edits on, but that's going to be longer, so this one might actually come out before that, and if it does, I'm sorry, but you guys know with chaotics and all that, it takes a really long time when the footage is, raw footage is just like an hour for me to do anything. Alright, but first up, we do have the accessory of the classic spring. It's kind of cool because they did the modern springs, so now we have both springs as figures, and we've got the life boxes. So if you guys have the actual play sets, A, let me know, but B, you can actually set this stuff up and use the accessories, unlike in other stuff where it's just randomly put it around. You can do that too, though. But either way, though, the attraction isn't the spring. It's who for a second I thought was about to be headless. Oh my god, you can see his neck joint. It's okay, buddy. We'll have surgery on you so that we can fix you. You don't have to worry. You don't have a neck, and you're not supposed to, because if you do, it's just a stick, and it's gross. It's weird. But, yeah, let's look at the good old cheery Classic Sonic. Interestingly enough, my brain keeps telling me hold him to the left, but his smile is on the right. Maybe that's because, you know, in those games, that's where they're running. Is that way? So maybe that's why the smile's there, so you can see his smile as he's going. Whew. You guys caught that, right? You caught the smile? Whew. It's okay. It's okay. Just like slow down the video and you can hear my derpy voice in a slower, deeper pitch. But either way, though, let's look at the Blue Blur himself. I almost said Blue Bomber, which is actually Mega Man. So, of course, you do have a lot of differences from the 2.5 figure just because he's bigger. Off the top of my head, I do recommend this figure over that figure because he just looks nicer, and I remember being like, it's passable, and I could actually compare them, but I don't feel like getting up because I'm comfortable and it's super warm in my room right now. So, nah, I'm good. But the tone of blue is super nice and perfect as well. It's also a bit blurry, and I apologize because either it's like super smooth or super blurry with focus in these, and I never know which one it's going to be. But they did the right blue as well as the right skin tone, so everything looks really nice and in place. You've got the black eyes, which the white dots on them, they could have been a little bit bigger, but as I always say, it really doesn't make that big of a difference. You know, in the long run, still has that Mickey Mouse type of look to him. His nose is a really nice length, especially for allergy season. He's probably going to need a lot of tissues because the snot probably sprays. And that's where everybody clicked off of the video and said, sayonara. No thank you, Spins. I don't want to talk about classic Sonic snot. Snot radius? Retro snot radius. Sure. Sure. But ignoring his retro snot radius, let's look at his face, which I'm a little bit questioning on this motion because they could have just easily had it completely closed. But is that supposed to be a line to show you that he has teeth? No? No, it's not. It's like a little chuckle opening. It's just enough to be like, he laugh. He laugh at you and your pain. He realizes that you don't want him to be in more games. You want more 3D. And when you want him, you want that good 2D. So he laugh at you. And he's just putting out his dominance stance. Saying that he is better than you and your 3D wishes. Again, sure. But going on to off of that, you do also have the hedges right here, which are, again, the perfect length. I always say these for Jakks-specific videos. It's like they take the model out. However, we are getting less and less like that, not by design-wise, but pose-wise. Again, it's just very weird to limit this figure while also making it articulate. What's the point in giving it joints when you make it only have this? Why are you making the elbow joints a set amount? You can only have him do a fist bump. You can only have him do a cheer, or some may say a surrender, depending on glass half empty, glass full type person, but he's not in his career path that he's been arrested yet. So I'm going to say cheer. But it's just a weird limitation because there's not much you can do with this, and I find this even weirder because they give you joints for the knees. Why? I don't understand. I don't get it. It limits the figure so much. And like, for the Jazzwares ones, yeah, they should just cut their losses because the joints would constantly fall off later game. To a ridiculous extent. You just like poke it and it would just come apart. I opened one and it came apart. But this is about Jakks specific. And not only that, you can turn the wrists. Why is this an option, but going like that would literally break the figure? I don't get it. It's weird. Sorry, big gripe, and you can see it in Knuckles, and you can see it in other figures, and I need to try to quiet down because my sister is currently in class. But looking at the actual design point, the hands are really nice. Again, they're closed like they always are. With one of them being open, I don't know if there are accessories that they can hold. I'm assuming so, because why else would it be like that? Because it's very weird. It's very strange. But his proportions are really nice, having the plumpness as a classic retro character would have. Again, the tail and the back spikes are also really nicely portioned. And then going on to the shoes, you have the red bottoms, which are a little bit darker, also saying Sega, as they all do. I don't know why I mentioned that. It's just a copyright thing. But yeah, pretty much, it's a very polished figure, but it leaves me questioning, why are you limiting it? That's really where I'm getting stuck here. But the nice thing is, this isn't the only guy springing into action on this. You couldn't see, but I actually did use this spring. Henceforth. Anyway, though, the other guy is also Metal Mark. Oh shoot! Oh shoot! You're not supposed to see that. Pretend it didn't happen. Erase it from your memory. Just it's because of the star shirt, right? That's why it happened. Anyway, though, going on to Super Shadow. Now, It's funny because this is basically Shadow, but he's yellow. Like I said in the recently released Shadow GE video that I recorded like 3 years ago. Who knows when it'll be, if it'll still be relevant up to this point for me to say that, or if it'll just be even funnier. Because in that video I was like, I did 3 Shadow videos back to back. And then my editing butt was like, no, they're making more GE figures as you speak. And you just look like an absolute freaking dork. And it's just sad. It's very sad. Now, let's look at the Pink Lemonade Emerald, which... questionable color choice, but hey, you know what? If you ever wanted to have pink emerald juices with Shadow, there you go. It's right there. I mean, they do have fake emeralds as confirmed from the Sonic X cartoon, but, you know, in-game wise, also Sonic Adventure 2, which also has a theory about fake emeralds being in Sonic the Fighters. So it's in both modern and classic timelines. Whatever time... It's confusing. It's confusing. Let's just move on to Super Shadow, who... also, it's kind of weird that they packaged an emerald in, because theoretically, or actually not theoretically, legitimately, if he had the Chaos Emeralds and was Super Shadow, he couldn't actually have the Chaos Emeralds out, leading to this one having to be a fake. So I guess I just circled around. But just really quickly showing, because I have this guy. So you've got regular Shadow ready to carry a box of cargo. Just so ready. I'm ready to join UPS. And then this Shadow getting ready to actually fight something, which is wild. So the poses are different, you know, again, Shadow with the boxes. Super Shadow, honestly, I mean, you could do that, but this being his natural pose, it looks like he's ready and determined, which is great. One thing that I do notice that I'm very confused about is the fact that the rings, it's a very subtle difference, but the regular Shadow is fairly shiny as his rings are super polished, almost like the Sonic 06 rendering when he's taking them off in that one cutscene. But then this Shadow, they're matted. And it leaves me wondering, why did they make this decision? Did they do that so that it wouldn't outshine the figure, or it was just better? Or just the sheer fact that it was a reproduction, so there's not really much reason to go into excruciating detail. I mean, if you look at the faces, it is the same blueprint, as they do have the exact same expression. It is hard to see because the camera is deciding not to focus, which is unfortunate, but I only have 2 hands, so I apologize for that. Going into this, though, the chest hair as well is a lot less noticeable on this one, since it is a closer color to it, so any mistakes to it, any paint mistakes, aren't that bad. And I did notice something on the ring that I do want to mention. This one, yeah, it's going to be hard to see. I'm going to do my best to hopefully make this okay as possible. But the one ring, for some reason, it has a dent in it. It's extremely hard to see on the camera, and I might have to, like, add a picture or something. I'm not sure. But for some weird reason, it has a dent there. Now, other differences, are there really any? I mean, it's basically the same make and model, just the sheer fact that it's gonna be a little bit different because of the paint. You can see, not to just pile on the criticisms here, but you can see that this one does feel like a re-release that's just super rushed, because the paint on the rings does end up blending and going onto the shoes, onto the gauntlets, and it just doesn't look as good. It's not as bad as something like, again, Jazzware's later game and other companies when it's very apparent that they're losing the license, but it does seem like the glory of making Sonic stuff is starting to wash away a little bit, which is concerning because we're starting to get some really cool stuff and really obscure stuff, and I'm hoping we have a good few more years with this line. But who knows if that's really going to happen. Another difference that I can notice is that the eyeliner, whether it's because of the yellow paint or not, but the eyeliner is actually way thicker and more defined. On this one, it is way harder to see because it's more tucked in. But this one, you can actually see it, which is super nice. I'm also kind of seeing the eyes do feel like they're a little bit better, but again, that's just probably nitpicking. That being said, though, the shade of yellow, it's a very nice yellow, but I did see a few people complaining it's not the color of Super Shadow. Honestly, I don't think it's really that big of a problem. You do have the whole super stuff going on, and maybe it's just the paint that they had over for Supersonic, and they figured they'd use that. But it's really hard to say. But yeah, there's not really too many differences other than some enhancements, some things that are worse off, and the figure, for some reason, being matted instead of shiny in more places than not, which I just find bizarre. The only other thing to really look over, other than twirling the figure, because I haven't really done that for this guy, is the joints. Now, each one of these guys do have these different joint feels. Some of them feel super loose, like the Knuckles one. I was moving it, and it really went with the pose, feeling very loose and ragdolled. Him, however, I moved his leg, and I'm having to fight him. I'm having to fight him to move his joints. That's not great. Not that there's really much of a reason to move them, but they are a bit more stiff. So I guess this is really one of those quality issues where it's like, pick your poison. Do you want it being super loose or being super stiff? Personally, I would prefer the stiff option because then it's less likely to have things fall off or just get really meh. Because it would be arguably more sturdy. I don't know if it's a paint thing or what, but that's my take on it. Either way, though, guys, that's going to end it for this line of the Jakks Pacific Sonic line. Sorry for all of my weird commentary, but hey, at least you guys got to see the Super Shadow figure along with the classic Sonic figure. Two very arguably great-looking figures with questionable decisions, but hey, that's what happens when you get into the later production of these figures. Hopefully, though, once we get to characters like Amy and Silver and stuff like that, we do have the polish that we had when this line first came out. But anyway, though, guys, hopefully you enjoyed. I hope to see you guys later. Keep your toes safe. Ooh, that looks menacing. It does look very evil. It's very blurred, but very evil. Very menacing. I'm trying for a thumbnail. Sorry. I don't know if that was good or not, but hey.